It is difficult to say which of Donald Trump's cabinet secretaries is worst at their job, but it seems like Pete Hegseth is really making a run at that title recently, because not only did he humiliate himself before the House yesterday, but when he appeared before the Senate today, he didn't just scream, he didn't just lie, he did all of those things while imploding after being confronted over not only Donald Trump's new demands for loyalty in the military, but the crimes he is committing in LA and the crimes he is covering up in the form of Donald Trump's jet from Qatar. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting the work that we're doing on this channel. Now, we have a lot of Pete Hegseth's lies and crimes to get into that he was confronted with, but first, I want to start with this question about Donald Trump's new demands for loyalty in the military.
And now President Trump is promising heavy force against peaceful protesters at his D.C. military parade. Those sorts of actions and that sort of rhetoric from a president of the United States should stop every one of us cold. Threatening to use our own troops on our own citizens at such scale is unprecedented, it is unconstitutional, and it is downright un-American. We should all be speaking out against this and demanding accountability. Now, Mr. Secretary, I have to say, for people who tout their commitment to transparency and efficiency, I've never seen an administration more bent on hiding basic facts from American people. Your department has been unresponsive to congressional inquiries and oversight requests, all the while you are working to muzzle the free press, denying journalists access to the Pentagon press corps. Now, before I turn to my questions, let me just note, it is now mid-June, and we only, just a few days ago, received some, but not all, important portions of your budget request. It should not have taken this long to get this request, and we do still need to see the justifications in order for this committee to do its work. We're missing those. Not having a full budget at this juncture is really unacceptable. So I am deeply concerned. So let me turn to my questions, and this is important. This administration has put the civilian workforce under attack from day one, encouraging resignations, firing probationary employees, instituting hiring freeze, requiring OPM to approve any new hire one by one, and now, new last week, requiring prospective employees to explain how they would, quote, help support the president's executive orders and policy priorities. We have spoken with military installations across our country. Almost all of them have been forced to fire skilled civilian employees who are badly needed. And all of them also have hundreds, and in some cases thousands, of new hires ready to bring on board, but now have to individually be reviewed by OPM, apparently to ensure that they support the president's priorities. Secretary Hegseth, I want to know, and keep your answer short, I have limited time, will you be firing more shipbuilders, yes or no?
Senator, we haven't fired shipbuilders. We've offered through a right sizing of our civilian positions, which everyone in this committee would acknowledge that the Defense Department has had a bloated bureaucracy for a long time, have given a voluntary process by which some people can choose to take a DRP.
I'm just asking you
so
a
it's
question.
not a firing of shipbuilders. That's a totally disingenuous characterization of what our department is doing. We are focusing on shipbuilding.
Mr. Secretary, do we need more or fewer shipbuilders?
We are investing historically in our shipbuilding defense industrial base and workforce and ships in this budget, more than anything the previous administration ever did.
So, well, you managed to fire highly skilled workers, including my home state of Washington, for no reason. So let me just say, the Navy needs welders, not people who can recite a president's executive orders. If the Navy wants to hire a qualified candidate for the role, but that candidate happened to vote for or donate to Democrats, would they be hired?
Senator, there's never been a litmus test for hiring welders.
Well,
if you can weld, you can work at the Defense Department.
That is what they are being asked. And Mr. Secretary, I just have to say, we need to drop the politics in our military. We need to hire the best people. We do not need to force them out. That is simply the case at this point. I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Graham.
Thank you. Welcome.
after what we saw at Fort Bragg yesterday with service members cheering on Trump as he attacked Gavin Newsom, as he attacked Mayor Bass, as he attacked the entire state of California while he sends Marines to attack peaceful protesters, it is incredibly obvious why forcing new service members to sign a pledge of loyalty to Donald Trump, to investigate their political history, to attack them and to make them fear, to intimidate them if they want to express any political opinion that's not the full support of a cult leader, that is terrifying. And Pete Hegseth is unable to answer for why that should be the case, except for the fact that he is in the cult of Trump as well. And that's clear with his loyalty to him and aiding his attack on LA, which he was called out for, lied about, and got caught in that lie right here.
The higher your standards are, it all makes you more lethal.
So
and the mission in Los Angeles, as you know well, sir, is not about lethality. It's about maintaining law and order on behalf of law enforcement agents who deserve to do their job without being attacked by mobs of people. And so we're very proud that the National Guard and the Marines are on the streets defending the ICE agents, and they will continue to do that.
Law and order is
job.
a civil function under the Constitution of the United States. Civil enforcement, law enforcement authorities, not the U.S. military. And
there's plenty of precedent for the U.S. military supporting law enforcement officers.
What your military is doing right now is laying concertina wire, guarding buildings, maintaining vehicles for other services. This is not only, I think, illegal, but also a diminution of the readiness and the focus of the military. But let me change course a bit.
What is happening in LA right now is criminal, but that is what we have come to expect from Donald Trump's administration. And that line of questioning from Senator Reid did not stop there in terms of calling out the criminality of Donald Trump, because he went on to press Pete Hegseth about Trump's Qatari jet. And guess what Pete said? Just about nothing, because he's afraid and he's trying to hide.
Understanding that you have taken possession of this Qatari aircraft, the 747. But there are public reports that the Qataris have not yet signed a memorandum of understanding, which would specify that the agreement was initiated by the Trump administration and Qatar is not responsible for any future transfers of the plane's ownership. Are you in possession of the Qatari airplane now?
Any specifics about future aircraft that could be Air Force One can't be discussed here, but
sure it can be discussed
there is a
here.
conversation about a memorandum of understanding. A memorandum of understanding remains to be signed, Senator.
You have signed a contract with a company to reconfigure the aircraft. What is the price of that contract?
That cannot be revealed in this setting, sir.
Why can't it be revealed in this setting? Well, this is the Appropriations Committee of the United States Senate. We appropriate the money that you will spend after it's authorized by my committee. And you cannot tell us how much the contract is for?
They know what they're doing is wrong. Of course they do. They know that it is blatant corruption. They're trying to do it out in the open, but they don't want to give us any specifics. I wonder why. This is incredibly gross and just shows how incompetent Pete Hegseth is, and that's very purposeful that Pete Hegseth does not know what he's doing, because Donald Trump wants to usurp his power. Donald Trump wants to control him like a puppet, like he clearly has. He wants Pete Hegseth to constantly be thinking about how he can appease his cult leader in Donald Trump, and that is on every issue, including, of course, the war in Ukraine, which Pete Hegseth was asked about and just made a fool of himself as he said what is unthinkable about our allies.
Mr. Secretary, why not use the already appropriated presidential drawdown authority to deliver defense material badly needed by Ukraine?
Well, Senator, as you know, the presidential drawdown authorities 71 through 74 still apply, and they are still flowing. There's some in reserve. To your question about my statement, and I served with a lot of NATO allies in Afghanistan as well. Incredibly capable Canadians, Brits, and Australians, and others. And grateful for them. And I've gotten to know a lot of them in this process going to Brussels. Amazing people, amazing countries.
Thus, I was struck, Mr. Secretary.
But we also wore a patch on our shoulder.
Yes.
That said ISAF, International Security Assistance Force. And you know what the joke was? That it stood for I Saw Americans Fighting. Because what ultimately was a lot of flags, was not a lot of on-the-ground capability. You're not a real coalition, you're not a real alliance unless you have real defense capability and real armies that can bring those to bear. And that's a reality that Europe is waking up to quickly, and we're glad, because they're
Mr.
our
Secretary.
friends, and we want them to be safe and free and secure. And sometimes that takes true talk and tough love, and they've responded very well to that because we want them to succeed. And
Mr.
President Trump
Secretary,
wants them
let's
to.
just make clear for the record that our military partners in Afghanistan included many who served and died. Our Danish partners and allies, on a per capita basis,
Don't try to
suffered
make
more.
it look like I don't care about the investments of our partners. Of course I do.
Mr.
I recognize
Secretary,
that there were lives lost from other countries.
Of
but
course
the
there
bulk
were.
of the effort was Americans. And an alliance needs to include other countries and be more
And
balanced
Mr.
to be a
Secretary,
real alliance. And
as I
that's the point
pointed
we're
out
making.
in my opening comments, our partners and allies have stepped up, have invested, have engaged in the defense of Ukraine, and so should we. We should not be pursuing a ceasefire and a negotiated resolution to the war in Ukraine at any cost. Peace through strength means actually using our strength, continuing to support Ukraine, and securing a lasting peace.
In this way so that you can assuage people's concerns that there is a double standard. The National Guard was deployed here on January 6th, and that was a decision made by the Department of Defense. Do you support that decision? Do you believe that that was the right decision to deploy the National Guard to defend the Capitol on January 6th?
All I know is it's the right decision to be deploying the National Guard in Los Angeles to defend ICE agents who deserve to be defended in the execution of their jobs.
But I think it's important to know whether you think it was also important to have the National Guard defending the United States Capitol when there were violent protesters here on the president's behalf, to make sure that folks know that you care about protest, whether it's against the president or on behalf of the president.
Senator, I was in the Washington, D.C. National Guard when that happened, and was initially ordered to go guard the inauguration of Joe Biden. But because of the politicization of the Biden administration, my orders were revoked. And ultimately, because of the politics that were being played inside the Defense Department by the previous administration.
But do you support the decision made on January 6th to send the National Guard here to defend
I
the
support the
Capitol?
decision that President Trump made and requesting the National Guard that was denied.
So you do not.
President Trump
you do not support the
requested
decision.
support
You do not
for the
just support
National
the
Guard
decision
in
to send the
advance
National
and was
Guard here
denied.
to defend the Capitol. I think that speaks to the worry that many Americans have that there is a double standard.
Pete Hegseth must be like Donald Trump in the way that he is unfamiliar with the military history of the allies of the United States, the men and women of European nations who have fought and died to protect our freedoms. But Pete Hegseth clearly isn't caught up on any of that. Not a surprise. He's not a smart guy. I think he was probably spending most of his time putting back the old G&Ts. And it seems like he did before this hearing because it was an absolute disaster. But we have to continue to call him out because Pete Hegseth will be on the Hill again tomorrow. Better believe we're not going to stop covering Pete Hegseth's incompetence. And if you want to stick around for all that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.